Hey guys, you made it through week 1, and now it's time for week 2. Before we get started, let me show you something really cool that I got this week. Ooh, I've got a nice big whiteboard back here. So now I'm going to be able to teach with the whiteboard just like we did in class. Let's get started. Alright, so today we're going to be working on the unit about atoms. We started this unit before we went on spring break, so we're going to review what we already learned. For this week, we will understand the structure of atoms. We're going to be able to identify what they're made of and how they work. We have 2 goals today. First goal is you're going to listen while I talk about some new vocabulary words and I write down their meanings. And then the second goal is you're going to do some writing on your graphic organizer about what atoms look like and what they're made of. Alright, we're going to start with 2 review vocabulary words. The very first one is going to be the word atoms. We're going to spell that. I know you know how to spell this one. A-A-T M, and then atoms ends with an S. There's that word, atoms. This is definitely a review word. We've heard this so many times. So what are atoms? Remember, we've talked about these a whole lot. What do they look like? Where do you find them? Atoms are little pieces of matter. Remember, when we draw atoms, we can draw them like little circles. Here's a pencil, and the atoms are drawn blue. The atoms are little pieces of... Okay, and here's our second review word. This is the word matter. Matter. Let's spell it. M-A-A. Mat. T, and this one has 2 T's. Mat. Is E-R. Matter. Here's that word. Matter. So what is matter? Where do you find it? Am I made of matter? Are you made of matter? What about this piece of paper? What about my markers? Are they made of matter? Matter is what everything is made of. Anything you can look at is made of matter. Your chair, your bed, the air, that cup of water, all of it's made of matter because matter is everything. Okay, now let's look at our new vocabulary words. We're going to start with the first 3 together. Proton, electron, and neutron. Here's the first one. It is proton. Proton. I'm going to spell that. P-R-O-T-O-N. Proton. Okay, here's our next new vocabulary word. It's the word electron. Electron. I'm going to spell that. E-L-E-C-T-R-O-N. Electron. Okay, our next new vocabulary word is going to be neutron. This one is tricky to spell. Watch me. I'm going to spell it N-E Neutron. Neutron. These are the three parts of an atom. The proton, you say proton. Proton. The electron, you say it electron. Electron. And the neutron, you say it neutron. Neutron. Practice saying them one more time. Proton. Electron. Neutron. Excellent. These are the three parts of an atom. First, there's the proton. This part is positive. It has a positive charge, and we show that with a plus sign. So when you see a proton, it will have a plus sign to show that it is positive. This is the electron. It is negative, and we show that with a minus sign. So when you see an electron, it will be marked with a minus to show that it is negative. And last we have the neutron. This is neutral. Look at that. Those words look very similar. Neutral means there is no charge, so I put a 0. When you see a neutron, there will be nothing on it because it has no charge. Okay, here is the last new vocabulary word for this week. It is nucleus. Nucleus. I'm going to spell that. N-U-C-L-E-U-S. Nucleus. The nucleus is what we call the middle of an atom. It has its own special word just for the middle part. Great job. So here's all of the vocabulary that we practiced today. We reviewed the word atoms, which is little pieces of matter. And then we reviewed the word matter. And matter is what everything is made of. Then we learned some new words. We learned the three parts of an atom. And those are protons, electrons, and neutrons. We learned that protons have a positive charge, so we give them a plus sign. We learned that electrons have a negative charge, so we give them a minus sign. And we learned that neutrons are neutral, so they have no charge and no sign at all. And the last word that we learned was nucleus. And that's the name that we give the middle of an atom. So now you've finished step 1. You've finished listening to all the vocabulary words. Now we can go on to step 2, and you can write in your graphic organizer. So here's what the graphic organizer looks like this week. You've got a big box at the top here, and we're going to use that to draw a picture. And then we've got some smaller boxes down at the bottom. And we're going to fill in all of those blanks with our definitions for our vocabulary. If you can print this out and write on it at your house, or you can write on it on your computer. But I'm going to go ahead and make my own graphic organizer, and if you want to or if you need to, you can do the same. Alrighty, so on the graphic organizer, I'm going to start with my name at the top, and you can put the date if you want to, today is today is April 12th, but you can put the date when you're doing it. Oops, 2020. Now, at the top, I'm going to write the title. What are atoms made of? Well, what are atoms made of? We talked about the parts of an atom. We know it has 3 parts. It has protons, electrons, and neutrons. So we're going to draw a picture to see what they look like in an atom. I'm going to start with a big box on my page. And off to the side, I'm going to put those words. I'm going to put protons. I'm going to put neutrons. I'm going to put electrons. And I'm going to put my other new word, nucleus. And I'm going to show you how we can draw a picture of an atom. Most of you guys have done this already, so maybe you'll remember some of it. The first thing I'm going to put are my protons. Remember, protons have a positive charge, and we show that with a plus. So I'm going to make my protons with a plus. I'm going to make some circles in the middle, do a few, and I'm going to put little plus signs on the inside. And then I'm going to come over to my word protons and I'm going to draw an arrow to where the protons are in my picture. There's my protons. Next, I'm going to draw the neutrons. And remember, neutrons are neutral, which means they have no charge at all. None. So when I draw my neutrons, here's some neutrons in my picture. I'm going to draw a whole bunch of them. When I draw my neutrons, I'm not going to put anything in there because there's no charge. And then I'm going to draw an arrow from the word neutrons to my picture. Now you can see I've got protons and neutrons. But there's one more part, I know. There's the electrons. And the electrons have a negative charge. And we show that with a minus sign. Now, here's the tricky part with your electrons. They're not going in the middle with your protons and your neutrons. Electrons go on the outside. I'm going to make a little circle. And you can make a circle if this helps you. It helps me keep track of where my electrons are going. So I'm going to make a circle around my atom. And I'll put my electrons on the circle out there. There we go. And remember, my electrons have a negative charge, so I'm going to put a little minus on the inside of all my electrons. Now you can see I've got protons, neutrons, and electrons. Oops, I forgot to label where my electrons are. I'm going to draw an arrow from the word electrons to the electrons in my picture. We've got one more to label, and that's this word nucleus. Look at your picture. Can you kind of tell where the middle of the atoms is? Where is the middle? On my page, the middle is this part. It's the part where my protons and my neutrons are. So I'm going to draw an arrow from the word nucleus to the nucleus in my picture. Now your picture doesn't have to look exactly like mine, does it? But the big important thing I want you to have is some protons, labeled with a plus because they have a positive charge. Some neutrons with no label because they have no charge. And some electrons with a negative because they have a negative charge. And then I want you to draw an arrow to where the center or the nucleus is in your atom. Once you've done that, we'll go on to the bottom part. On the bottom, I'm going to write the definitions of some words. And we talked about all of these definitions today, but I'll write them here for you so you can remember. The first word is atom. What is an atom? Well, we said an atom is a little piece or little pieces of matter. Here, I'll make it atoms. Atoms are little pieces of matter. So that's your first definition. I'm going to go on to the next one, but if you need some more time, you can come back and watch this video again. The next word is nucleus. Now, we just talked about that in our picture. The nucleus was the middle of the atom. There we go. The nucleus is the middle of the atom. I'm going to go on to the next one now. I'm going to go to proton. Think about protons. What kind of charge do protons have? Here's a good way to remember. Proton starts with a P because protons have a positive charge. And we show that with a plus sign. Here's the next one. What about neutrons? Neutrons are the ones that are neutral, and they start with an N for neutral. And that's because they have no charge. There's a big 0 because there's no charge. All right, here's the last one. Electrons. Now these ones don't start with the same thing as what they are. Electrons have a negative charge, and they have a minus sign. Very good. Now, once you're done, I have one more job for you. I want you to go back to the word nucleus. Which ones of these parts of the atoms are in the nucleus? You can look at your picture. Are protons in the nucleus? Are neutrons in the nucleus? Are electrons in the nucleus? I see protons and neutrons in the nucleus, but it looks like the electrons are not. They are outside of the middle. So I'm going to come to this word nucleus here, and I'm going to put a reminder for myself that there are protons and neutrons in the nucleus. I put a plus for the protons and I put a 0 for the neutrons. And that's my reminder of which things are in the middle, because sometimes it's hard to remember. Alright, so now that you've seen how I made mine, go ahead and make your graphic organizer. You can use the video here to fill out your definitions and so that you can remember what our picture looks like and where to label our words. Once you're done, make sure that you turn it into me so I can see it. And if you made your own, then you can send me an email with a picture of it. That'd be perfect.